I never liked giving ultimatums, especially not to the woman I married. But that night, something in my gut twisted hard enough that I couldn't ignore it. Maybe it was the way Sarah kept talking about that party, how everyone would be there, how it was harmless, how I was overthinking again. Or maybe it was the tone she used, the one that always meant she'd made up her mind long before she bothered asking for my opinion. Still I tried. "Sarah," I said, standing by the kitchen counter, "I really don't want you going to that party." She didn't even look up from her phone. "It's just a housewarming, Ethan. What's the big deal?" The big deal was that the host, her coworker Caleb, had a reputation everyone knew about. A charmer, sleazy, handsy, the type who called married women gorgeous, and acted like wedding rings were optional details. I'd seen him once at her office holiday party in Denver. The way he looked at her made my spine stiffen. I wasn't jealous. I was cautious. There's a difference. "I just don't trust the environment," I said quietly. "Please stay home tonight." Sarah finally glanced up, eyebrows raised like I'd seriously inconvenienced her. "You're being dramatic." And that was that. A few hours later, she walked out the door in a silver dress she hadn't worn in years. Just before the door closed, she tossed out one last sentence. The kind that doesn't sound deadly until it slices through you later. "I'm tired of feeling controlled." I didn't say anything back. I just stood there, hands in my pockets, staring at the empty hallway. Controlled. I hadn't forbidden her. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't threatened. I'd asked calmly. And maybe that was the part that hurt the most, my gentleness being mistaken for control. The house stayed quiet that night, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the tapping of rain against the windows. I watched the clock crawl past midnight, then past 1, then 2. No texts, no calls, no updates. By 3 I stopped waiting. I slept on the couch, not out of anger, but because something inside me had shifted. It felt like a small crack forming in a place I didn't know could break. She came home at nearly 4 a.m. The door clicked softly. I kept my eyes closed, breathing evenly. I could smell her perfume mixed with something else, something unfamiliar. Maybe smoke from someone else's jacket. Maybe cologne. Maybe I was imagining it. I didn't want to know. She tiptoed past the couch, pausing for a second. I could feel her eyes on me in the dark. Then she walked upstairs without a word. The silence she left behind felt heavier than any argument. Morning came quietly, but the atmosphere wasn't the same. Sarah was sitting at the kitchen table in her robe, hair messy, face pale. She looked tired. More tired than a simple party should have made her. She didn't acknowledge me when I walked in. She didn't even sip her coffee. She just stared at her phone, breathing unevenly. "Rough night?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. She flinched, not dramatically, just a tiny jolt, like the sound of my voice had startled her. "I don't want to talk about it," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "All right." She swallowed hard, eyes darting toward the counter where her clutch lay. Her hands trembled when she reached for it. That was when her second phone buzzed, the one she used for work. She grabbed it immediately, but the screen lit up before she could flip it over. And I saw the name Caleb. Her entire body froze. She answered the call without meeting my eyes, stood up and walked a few steps away. Her voice was shaky, hushed, almost panicked. "Caleb, please. Not right now." My chest tightened, not with jealousy but with clarity. There are moments in life when you don't need full explanations. You just need the expression on someone's face to know something has snapped. She hung up. Her breathing turned shallow. And then she did something she never does. She hid her phone behind her back. When she finally looked at me, her face was colorless. "Ethan, we need to talk." I folded my arms. "Then talk." Her lips trembled. "Something happened last night." And in that moment, I knew it wasn't the party that had ruined something between us. It was her reaction when sunlight finally shone on whatever she'd been hiding. Sarah didn't speak right away. She just stared at the floor, rubbing the side of her thumb like she was trying to erase something written on her skin. I stayed standing, waiting, giving her the space she always claimed she needed. But this time she looked like she wanted to disappear into the chair. "Ethan," she whispered finally, "I made a mistake." My jaw tightened but my voice stayed calm. "What kind of mistake?" She squeezed her eyes shut. "I shouldn't have gone. I should have listened to you." That wasn't the answer to my question, and we both knew it. When she opened her eyes again, they were shiny with something between guilt and fear. The kind of fear that didn't come from me, but from what I might come to know. I drank more than I planned, she said. Everyone was taking shots, and I didn't want to look boring. I don't even know when I lost track of things. Caleb kept handing me drinks, introducing me to people, showing me around the house. And then someone took pictures. My chest cooled like my heartbeat had dipped into ice. Pictures of what? I asked. Her breath stuttered. I don't know the details. I woke up in a guest bedroom upstairs. She added quickly. I still had my clothes on, like that might soften anything. But the room wasn't empty when I woke up. There were two guys there laughing, one of them holding a phone. My stomach twisted hard and low. What did they do, Sarah? She shook her head rapidly, eyes glassy. They didn't touch me. I swear. They just took pictures while I was passed out. Stupid pictures. Messy hair, lipstick smeared, looking drunk. But Caleb, he tried to get them deleted. He said they were just messing around. And they sent them to you? I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Her silence said everything. I exhaled slowly, not out of anger, but out of something deeper, something heavier. She wasn't lying, but she wasn't telling the whole truth either. Maybe she didn't remember. Maybe she didn't want to. Maybe both. Ethan, she said, stepping toward me. I made a terrible decision. I know how it looks. I know what you're thinking, but I swear I didn't cheat on you. I shouldn't have gone. You were right. The problem wasn't whether she had cheated. The problem was that she had created a situation where the question could even exist. And the kind of marriage I believed in didn't have room for, I don't know. I can't remember. Or please believe me. Not anymore. I'm not angry, I said. And that seemed to scare her more than if I'd shouted. You're not, she whispered. No. I'm disappointed. And I'm done warning you about people you defend harder than you defend us. Her eyes filled with panic. Ethan, please. I messed up, but it's not what you think. I can fix this. I'll talk to HR. I'll block Caleb. I lifted my hand gently. She stopped mid-sentence. Last night didn't start the distance between us, I said softly. It revealed it. She covered her mouth with trembling fingers. Please don't say that. I asked you not to go because I care. You went anyway because you didn't care enough to consider why. That's the truth neither of us wants to say out loud. Her tears spilled now, silent, desperate. Ethan, I love you. I shook my head slowly. Maybe. But love without respect turns hollow. And you disrespected us both the moment you trusted a stranger's judgment more than your husband's. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Not dramatically, just enough for her hand to fall. Where does this leave us? She whispered. In reality, I said. And reality is what happened last night can't be undone. It changed something. I need time to think. She looked shattered. Are you leaving? Not today, I said. But emotionally? I walked away the moment you hid your phone. Her knees wobbled, and she collapsed into the chair, sobbing quietly. I picked up my keys, grabbed my jacket, and headed toward the door. Not slamming it, not yelling. Just moving forward with the clarity she'd forced me to find. Ethan, please come back, she cried after me. I paused, not to comfort her, but to offer the truth she needed to hear. I will, I said. But not as the man who kept begging for respect. The next version of me won't ask for it. He'll simply expect it. And then I walked out, letting the morning light swallow the last pieces of who we used to be.